Okay, so what we're going to do with Peyton, I've put her foundation on her forehead, done her brows. I concealed and powdered her eyelid. We're going to do, this makeup tutorial is about a spring trend, which is pop of color. You saw it on Peter Som's runway, Derek Lam, Miu Miu. It was really big on Miu Miu's. And so we're going to do pop of color. It's going to be really fun, over the top, how to do your makeup with super bright, fun colors. And I do mean bright. So hang on, Peyton. It's about to get bumpy in here. Okay, now I want a lot of the pow of the color. So I'm going to layer creams as I always do to get more of that pigment. Now, because I'm using such a bright color and I want to get a more toned down version of that color just on the lid, I'm going to use, instead of the same color of a cream, which I do many times to get the color brighter, I am just going to use a basic skin tone type cream on the lid. That way it will give me a little more from that color without intensifying it too much, because I want to kind of control the intensity of the color in each place. If I were to put, and I'm going to do orange and fuchsia. I know, sit down, pick your teeth up back off the floor. I'm going to do orange and fuchsia. And you're going to see exactly how much fun that can be. But because they are so bright, I want to first tone them down with just a skin tone cream versus using an orange cream and then a fuchsia cream. So using my brush number 22, I'm applying that cream shadow to the entire lid part of the eyelid. Not all the way up to the brow bone, just up to the crease. Now I'm going to take a bright orange shimmer shadow and I'm going to apply it to the lid. Blending it up into the crease. Using my number 22 brush again. Doing a half moon shape all the way up to the edge of that crease. Patting it on for more color. Now y'all, please don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you to do this eye and go to the mall. This is for something fun for evening, when you're going out with the girls, when you don't want to make your husband uncomfortable. Not every makeup tutorial has to be about something extremely wearable. Now, you know me, I need to see some lashes right now to really see what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and curl the lashes and put a layer of mascara on. Also, by curling at this point and doing my layer of mascara, it starts to let me see how dramatic I can go the look, or if I can start thinking about whether or not I want to add some lashes. Now I need to ground my color. You can never let just sheer color sit out there by itself. So I'm going to put a little bit of a mid-tone in her crease to start to create depth and ground that bright color. So taking my number 11 brush and just a nice soft subtle matte taupe, I'm going to start to define the crease. Just a little bit. We don't want to brown everything out too much, but it will help ground the color. You can already see how much better that eye looks just with that little bit of mid-tone helps grounding that bright color. That's why it's so important that you have the perfect mid-tone for you, and then you can use it in every look. Now, when I do her brow bone, I'm going to keep it very, very skin tone and very matte because everything else is so bright and shimmery. Remember, anytime you're doing a eye, at least one of your shades needs to be matte so that the whole eye isn't too shimmery. Unless that's your goal. Like sometimes when you're just doing a shimmer wash, because you're very young and you can handle it, a shimmer wash all over your lid. And a little bit of mid-tone in this outer corner, once again, to ground the fuchsia I'm about to use. Although I'm loving just the orange. I'm using my brush number 30 to apply a little bit of mid-tone right in this outer corner to help ground the fuchsia I'm about to put on. Blending it out with my number 28. And you can see how that's just really helping the shape of the eye. So the fuchsia has to do less work. It's more about just adding color and fun. Okay, using my brush number 13, I'm going to start applying my fuchsia. Now I want it to be in the crease. I'm actually applying over the mid-tone because my goal with the fuchsia is I'm going to do a lot of it underneath the eye, in this outer corner, and in the crease, okay? So I want the line in the crease to be very, very defined. That's why I'm using my brush number 13. And I'm literally going to draw a line. Now, when I'm doing this, usually I go from eye to eye, do an eye, go to the other eye. In order to make sure I get my creases the same, when I'm doing a defined crease like this, I like to draw them at the same time so I can make sure the shape is going to be identical. Now remember, you can build to color. If you're going to use multiple depths of a fuchsia to create your gradation, then start with your lightest, move to your darkest. Also, if you're just using one and you just want to build to color, do it layer by layer. Now I'm going to take, I was using, but now I'm taking again. I'm going to use my number 11 brush. It's a clean one because I want such a delicate blending, and I'm only blending up as to not go into too much of the orange, but to get a good blend. I'm doing a makeup tutorial on this because it is a very hard to pull off look, and so that's why it's so important that you do it correctly. And this tutorial will help you do that. Okay, now, I'm now going to take and start using my first layer of color with the fuchsia. I'm going to take my number 30 brush, and I'm going to start to build my layer of fuchsia in the outer corner. Remember, we're patting it where we want the color, and then we'll blend it out. Using my brush number 28. Keep layering it till you get the intensity that you want. It's much easier to add more than it is to take off. Now I do want a lot of definition at the lash line, so I think rimming the eye in black is still important with this look because you've got to have that grounding. Okay, I'm going to line her eye now. Now you want to keep it really close to the lash line. I'm also going to add a few false lashes, so this will help with that as well. Just keeping the color really close to the lash line. Open for me. Open and look down. Okay, now I'm going to start pushing some color into the lash line because, as I said, I want that definition at the lash line, and that way I get even more power without the line being as thick. So taking my number 41 brush, some dark matte eyeshadow, look up. I mean, sorry, look down, you did it correctly. God, you even know what to do already. Okay, and we're going to push it right in the base of the lash line. Peyton's become a professional in one simple, easy step. Now, I'm using a matte whenever I push color into the lash line because a shimmer would be too shiny and wet looking at this place in the eye and would create reflection there that wouldn't look natural. And part of pushing color into the lash line is also making the lashes look thicker. So it's doing all that at once, and so a matte will only do that. A shimmer won't look too shimmery. Now I'm going to grab my number 18 brush and some matte black shadow. And I'm just going to go over that line. Now be really careful because you only want it on the line. Now whenever you're doing this, you're going to go in, like you're going to take the brush, you're going to go in to get it and then roll it up to get the color at the lash line. If you were to go straight flat, you would get the color up too far on the lid. That was for you, Julianne. If you're out there watching. You can see how much that better defined your eye. We're going to foundation bottom half of the face. Thanks, Kent. Look up. It's actually the Palace foundation I carry with me.
That's sad.
No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with being pale. There really isn't. Were you looking at me? Is it for a joke to follow that?
No.
Because trust me, honey, there isn't. Because I'm as pale as you, so. Well, maybe not quite as pale as you. John is, though. And the only reason I'm not as pale as you is because I have a pink undertone, you don't. So I stay pinky red looking. Then using my number 76 brush, I'm going to powder. And I'm going to leave a little extra in this area for right this minute, just a tiny bit, while I do the underneath of the eye, so I can brush off anything that might drip. I shouldn't have much because I'm going to be really careful. Now, I am going to use my number 13 brush in my mid-tone, go over that area first so I get some depth and some rounding. I'm going to use my number 14 brush and grab some of my orange, look up, and wrap it around the inside corner. So look up, I'm using my black eyeliner pencil, and because I want the darkness at the lash line, but I don't want to have too thick of a black line, I'm going to line the wet tissue of her eye. Now, couple things you need to think about. Your eye needs to be large enough, because if you have smaller eyes, it's going to close it in too much. I wouldn't do this for daytime, but this isn't a daytime look. And I wouldn't do it on a daily basis. To the other side. Now I'm going to apply mascara to the lower lash line, or lower lashes. I'm using a wedge and putting it underneath so I do not get any mascara on her lower lid. Plus, I can really work it into the lash and get just the faintest hint of color on them. Now I'm just going to take a tiny bit of bronzer at the back of the cheek, using my brush number 73, using a nice pale bronzer, just for a little definition. I'm also going to take bronzer, brush number 11, and go all up in here to help close that off and blend it all in. Using a sheer bright pink lip gloss, because you want color to your lips, but not too much. You ready, Peyton? Hang on, it's about to get bumpy. No, just kidding. All right, so for this makeup tutorial, in your makeup set, you're gonna need a bright fuchsia, a shimmery orange. You're still gonna need a matte mid-tone, and a sheer pink lip gloss. And you can create this look for yourself, remember, for special occasions, not to wear to the grocery store. Thanks. We're gonna come back with a final look.